to another episode of Politically Street. I'm your community ambassador, Mr. Robin J. Anderson, all right? Before we get started, I'll give you my disclaimer. So Politically Street is not a politically endorsing podcast. We are here for information purposes only. On Politically Street, I interview business owners, community leaders, and elected officials. So this guy here is not a stranger to my podcast. He's actually fits in two of those categories. This is Demetrius Walker. We call him Meek for short. You know what I mean? How you been, man?
Man, I'm great, man. You know, happy to be here.
Yeah.
Alive and kicking. You know what I'm saying? Just
Okay.
been working hard.
Yeah, you look tired. Well, not in a bad way, but in a good with the business tired. You know what I mean? So yeah, man.
Yeah, definitely. You know, putting in those long hours.
I see you moving around, man.
18 and 19-hour days is, you know, weekends is when I do the most work. When most people are resting,
You up getting it?
I'm out working. I'm either here at the shop or I'm out DJing. You know, still DJing.
I
Still
forgot about the
spinning.
DJing. Yeah.
Been trying to retire. The people won't let me.
I mean, but do we actually really retire, man? Because it's like it's so much work to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you still are anchored in. Like you can't really just let go all the way. You know what I mean? So yeah, I get it.
There's always celebrations going on. You know, that's the thing that I value most in life is being able to celebrate life. And so I like to, you know, provide my gift of music and musical talent to people to see those smiles on people's faces.
Congrats on the engagement. That's a celebration, man. You know, so your fiance, she a DJ too, man. So do y'all have like battles in there so who can mix the best, man? Like I would if it'd be me, you know.
Yeah, we battle sometimes. You know, she's really good, really talented. You know, I actually taught her how to DJ a couple years ago.
Wow.
And I mean, she already had natural DJ instincts, so you know, I just kind of showed her the technical side of it, and she took off with it. I mean, she's a beast, man. You can't even tell. Yeah, she's only been doing it 2 years. Yeah.
Man, you know what? Actually, when I was younger, man, I wanted to be a DJ. I really did. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Cause I love music. You know what I'm saying? Then music is so. Like I was thinking about last night. I was listening to not a sappy move. I was listening to Anniversary by Tony, and I remember where I was, the year. You know, how I feel, how it made me feel, stuff like that, man. So, because music is so universal, man. It can make you, you know, travel in time, all kind of stuff, man. So, wow, that's what's up, man. I'm about to buy me a turntable, but you got to show me the. So, this give me a little tidbit, man. You know what I mean?
I can show you, man.
All right,
even
bet.
I can show you on an iPad.
I don't have an iPad. I don't have an iPad, man. So I'm team Android, you know. So.
Oh, okay. All right, I can't help you with that one then.
Right, man. But now let's get down to it, Meek, man. When we get together, we talk, man. Everything is always like it's. Every time we talk about, you know what, we should have had a podcast about this because it'd be so much going on we talking about, man. You know, so but. I saw this like almost 3 weeks ago about your son, man. Like, and I've explained this to people too about what happened, but I couldn't explain it in detail, man. But tell what happened to your son, man. This is doing Black History Month too, right?
So yeah, my son, I check his homework every day because fundamentally I don't trust the school system to properly educate him, especially in regards to history, which is my favorite subject, because I feel if you don't understand your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Right.
And so my son came home with this assignment that was asking him to pretend that he was a soldier in the Civil War on the side of the Confederacy.
Wait, what?
Yeah. This was the assignment.
Wow.
And not only was he a Confederate soldier, but the assignment asked him to list 2 battles that he was in Texas, in the state of Texas, and to also write a letter home to his family thanking them for their support of the war effort for the Confederacy.
Wow.
And I just, I hit the ceiling, man, when I saw that. I said, these people lost their damn mind.
I saw when you were on Facebook, Instagram Live, I think it was, I saw it. Yeah, I was like, what? So, yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, I said, nah, they done lost their mind.
Wow.
And, you know, immediately reached out to his teacher. I sent her a text message, and I let her know that, hey, I'm going to be up at the school tomorrow so we can have a discussion about this.
Right.
Because my son goes to Gregory Lincoln, which, if people don't know, was the first school established for free black students after emancipation.
I didn't know that. Wow. What is it? Is it in Third Ward? Where exactly is it?
It's in Fourth Ward, which was formerly known as Freedmanstown.
Oh, Freedmanstown. Okay, gotcha.
So, you know, a lot of the emancipated slaves made their way up to Houston to have their own neighborhood, Freedmanstown. And the Gregory School was the first school in Texas specifically designed to educate these free black children.
Wow.
So here we are, 2025, 160 years later, and they're trying to get our children to enter the mindset of the Confederate soldiers and understand what their motivations were and how much they missed their families and how their families were, supporting them throughout this effort to preserve slavery.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I remember, excuse me, I know not to jump off subject, but Freedmanstown today, and they used to have those bricks in the road. Are they still there on certain streets?
Certain streets, but a lot of it's getting paved over. It's getting gentrified.
That's what I thought.
It's getting gentrified pretty rapidly at this point. So I know they have a conservancy there, which is a restored traditional home. And so they have, these little cosmetic efforts to preserve the history of Freedmanstown.
Right, okay, gotcha.
However, the neighborhood, if you walk around it at this point, it's completely flipped over.
Man, so I was around Fourth Ward around like 99, 2000 era, right? And when I was over there, you can see, I can put this, you can see the mindset of the community. I don't want to say it that way. So it was kind of like it was underdeveloped, right? And but the element there was it was us, right? So it's like, but who do you blame for the underdevelopment? Do you blame the people there, or do you blame the city? Like, who do you blame? You know what I mean?
Right.
So even with that, with the education, it's like, who do we blame them for teaching our kids this nonsense, or like where does the blame go? Or is there blame to even to put out there?
Yeah, there's plenty of blame to go around. Systemic racism is a massive thing to fight. And strategically, this is exactly the place that they wanted us to be in, where civic education is lacking, historical education has been manipulated and whitewashed to the point that the things that they tell us are facts and which people commonly believe are facts is the propaganda that's pushed on us from a higher level. And so, being able to see through all of that, luckily we have the internet now, and we have information readily available at our fingertips, more so now than we ever did before.
Right, true.
But it's about knowing where to look for the information.
Okay, I was going to say that because my son, I think he was like maybe 12 or 13 at the time, Black History Month. His assignment was to write on three people: MLK, Rosa Parks, or Thurgood Marshall.
Right.
So I say, you know what? So Budweiser, backstory. Budweiser had like these illustrations they put out back in like the mid '70s about Black kings and queens. So I had like about 20 of them printed, right? The original prints. So I said, well, son, I said, instead of doing that, go pick out one of these. So his pick was Hannibal, right? So Budweiser had like maybe 3 or 4 sentences on it. And so he said, well, Dad, it has to be this length. I said, okay, we'll go online and look it up. So he looked up Hannibal online. Hannibal was white. But when Budweiser showed he was black. So that was like, even with the internet, man, you just be like, how do you gauge, or how can you, navigate through that stuff, man,
Well, yeah, not everything on the internet is true. I mean, most of it is untrue. There's a lot of fake information that people put out there. But this is why it's really important I didn't realize the relevance and significance of Wikipedia initially. And Wikipedia gets some things wrong, but it's critical that we have a free resource that's peer-reviewed and updated on a continuous basis.
Gotcha.
In order to keep the flow of free information available for people. And so, having the public moderate content, provide historical facts and context and cite sources for anything that we read is absolutely critical.
Gotcha. I was kind of waiting to dive in this, man, but we got to dive into it, bro. With the current climate, it's kind of going to tie into what's going on with your son, The current president and the interim vice president, Elon Musk, man, what the heck is going on? I couldn't have imagined, seeing the stuff that they're doing just blatant. Like, we don't give a care what y'all say, what y'all think about it, whatever. It's like, man, what the heck is going on, in your opinion?
I'm gonna let you know what's going on.
Okay.
So we got apartheid Elon, we got Beverly Hills Bannon, and then we got Scrooge McTrump.
Uh-huh.
And we're currently living in a cacistocracy. That's the level of American politics.
Can we spell that? That's homework for y'all to look up what this word means. Can you spell that for us?
Cacistocracy. K-A-K-I-S-T-O-C-R-A-C-Y.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Okay. All right.
cacistocracy.
All right.
And so civic education severely lacking because conservative base has been strategically chipping away at public education for the last 60 years,
Right.
you know, to make sure that people are dumb, deaf, and blind and ignorant about their motives, about their historical improprieties, and about where they're trying to take this country. So cacistocracy is ruled by the worst persons. Yeah.
Check. That's true. Okay.
So not only do we live in a cacistocracy now, we also live in a plutocracy. So plutocracy, I'll spell that as well. It's
Okay,
Plutocracy.
Now, okay, so I do the etymology of words. Excuse me. So you got Pluto in there.
Exactly. Our smallest planet.
Right. But sometimes it goes out of our solar system and back in. So what's the connection?
Well, you know, Pluto got demoted to being a dwarf planet. That's what Pluto's called now. But, you know, when we were growing up, Pluto was a planet. It was, the ninth planet. You know, but it's now a dwarf planet. Pluto and a plutocracy represents rule by a very small group of rich people, wealthy people.
Okay.
So that's what's going on right now, where you see apartheid Elon up in the Oval Office with his little kid up in the office,
digging his nose,
picking boogers, telling Donald Trump, "Why you sitting in my daddy's seat? You ain't supposed to be here. My daddy's really the president."
Wow.
You know, and saying that on live television.
Wow.
And you know, a lot of the media completely ignoring that.
I didn't hear that part. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. Go back and watch it.
Wow.
He looked right at Donald Trump and said, "Why are you sitting there? You're not supposed to be there." Yeah, my daddy's really the president. Yeah. So you know.
The audacity of these anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah. So we live in a cacistocracy that's also a plutocracy, and ultimately, what Elon's motive is to move America into a technocracy. So that's another vocabulary word. Technocracy is where you utilize people familiar with technology, your engineers, your doctors, you know, scientists, and you try to make society more efficient, specifically through the use of technology, leaving no room for morality to prevail. It's purely looking at what makes society more efficient, disregards the historical context of how we got to the point that we're at. And so this is why you see the attacks on DEI.
I mean, but put a pin there. So from there's this side of DEI, and you got this gray area.
Right.
Some folks are saying that DEI really didn't even we didn't benefit from this most from Caucasian women.
Right.
So it's like, who cares if it's gone, right? You know, but we'll circle back around to that later on. But go ahead.
Oh no, definitely. So DEI was the illusion of you know, oh well, we're gonna try to consider how what they consider minority groups feel in our decision-making process for our corporation, specifically so we can continue growing our profits. You know,
so it sounds like, not to cut you off, what it sounds like is basically it was affirmative action amended, basically.
Somewhat.
Okay.
Somewhat, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So now what we're seeing, and that came out of the George Floyd, you know, murder that everyone saw in 4K. Then all of a sudden these companies and everybody in America is like, oh man, I guess we do kind of have a racism problem. Everybody saw this black man just get kneeled on for 9.5 minutes and die under the foot of this cop. And so we saw all the DEI programs roll out. And that was just an excuse for corporations to say, oh, we care about black people. We don't want y'all to stop shopping with us.
I got you.
We don't want y'all, look, hey, this is Target. We like black people. We got a DEI director.
Right. And now I think about it, they still have more Black History shirts and stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you now.
And
I'm with
I
you.
mean, it was just window dressing so they can continue getting our money. You know what I'm saying? But now we're in an era where we're in this plutocracy that Elon Musk is trying to turn into technocracy, and now the theory behind it is called NRX, neo-reactionism. So capital N, capital R, lowercase x. Look that up. NRX, neo-reactionism, is the backlash that has occurred due to how white folks really feel about DEI. They feel it went too far.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Now I gotta see my little white son walking around with a Black Panther mask now. You know, and so that's what neo-reactionism is. Why does race have to be involved with profit?
Right.
Can we go back to when race wasn't an issue with, how I ran my corporation or how, my kids went to school and the lessons that they learned? We don't care about diversity. Matter of fact, we don't care about racial diversity. We don't care about gender diversity, and so a large part of how Donald Trump was able to successfully win this campaign, as if he actually won, because there is some doubt there.
Yeah, I don't want to get into even with the last election, they say he went away. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into the conspiracy theory on that. However, we can look at the outrage that people felt for DEI. We can look at the outrage that people felt about, I got to use pronouns now. I don't want to have to use pronouns. I don't want to have to, why do I got to see transgender people? The transgender people is taking over women's sports. Non-existent manufactured outrage about things that affect such a small, very, very small segment of American society that blew up into national and even worldwide issues. We saw with the Olympics, with the boxer from, I believe it was Algeria.
I think I remember saying that. Yeah.
She was whooping ass, man, and they were like, she's a man. She's a man, and it became a global issue. The backlash against people having to acknowledge that there's a diversity not only in skin tone and ethnicity, but there's also diversity in how the brain works and operates, and how people's gender expression, is expressed as adults and children even. And so NRX is the neo-reactionism that goes along with people feeling that they're losing the world that they once knew. And so now you got neo-reactionism interacting with technocracy. And so in order to make the world more efficient in people like Elon Musk's eyes, we got to get rid of DEI. We got to get rid of this, woke mind virus and this transgender insanity.
Right.
And unfortunately, white nationalism coincides with that and has made a comeback.
Speaking of nationalism, what happened to Black nationalism? Where is it? Because to me, and this is going to sound very hypocritical, but hey, it is what it is. The whole voting process, this government has shown us that they're not for us, right?
No.
So to me, it's almost insane to keep infusing our thoughts or our energy into this government and expecting a different outcome.
Right, I agree.
Where is the Black nationalism? What state is it in? Because I don't even hear the word no more. You know what I mean? Now I hear is the Black Lives Matter, or what was the one that they was fighting for reparations? They went under. God dog it. I can't think of the name. Start with an A. Was it AOC? No. Anyway, but they were fighting in Cobra because in Cobra was more of the baby boomers / Generation X, and they were generation the millennials. They were like, y'all not moving fast enough for y'all reparations. So instead of working with them, they started their own. Where is the Black nationalists? Meek, come on, man.
Hey, I think the best thing that could happen for Black nationalism is neo-reactionism, because now I think Black people realize that all these years that we thought that they liked us with the DEI programs, they really couldn't stand us. They just wanted our money. And so now we saw just recently with the economic boycott, I think we got a sizable amount of black folks together who said, you know what, we're not going to spend our money with these folks who, you know, obviously hate us. And so we're starting to see the very preliminary stages of black nationalism making a comeback right now. You know, I think previously we were lulled to sleep.
I agree.
And so with the last election, there were really only two choices on the ballot. The choices on the ballot were neoliberalism and neo-fascism.
Okay.
So the neoliberalism that the Democratic Party was trying to promote and continue, and this is another vocabulary word people need to look up because I think not a lot of people understand what neoliberalism is. Neoliberalism is not about social values. Neoliberalism is about economics.
Okay.
Unfettered capitalism.
Okay.
And so our choices were we can continue kicking the can down the road on social issues. We keep neoliberalism alive. We keep American imperialism alive. We're not going to change our policy on Israel or the Congo or Sudan or you know, South and Central America. We're going to continue to exploit them. We're going to continue to fund you know, parties who oppress people in all of these regions around the world.
Okay, wait, hold on a second, man. And this, I'm gonna get some backlash about this, man. And don't get me wrong, I get that our brethren and sisters across the waters got their own issues. I get it.
Right.
But I think until we start focusing in on what we can do, I mean, we can get control back of what we do. We've influenced the world, so we can sit here and scream all this all day long. But we got to take care of home first, man. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And I'm like, and I've been wanting to say that for a while. And I'm saying, don't get me wrong, because anything being wrong is wrong. I get it. But we got to focus on here first, man. You know what I'm saying? As far as the black community and going from there, you know.
I'm a strong advocate for do for self. And I think that's the era that we've entered now. We're in the do for self era because it's clear that politically our wants, needs, and desires are completely disregarded, swept under the rug. But again, just reflecting on that 2024 election, those were the choices. It was continue this process of American imperialism, of exploiting less fortunate people in America as well as abroad. So I don't think we can disconnect ourselves from the global struggle.
That's
because
fair.
At this point,
That's fair.
What we're starting to see is neo-fascism won the election. And so now we have neo-fascists uniting globally. Dictators, we got Putin, we got you know, Trump, we got Xi Jinping in China.
In China, okay.
Yeah. And these guys are plotting now to oppress the rest of the world and turn us all into sweatshop workers. That's the ultimate goal.
I'm glad you mentioned those two other entities. We were talking off camera about this, about communism and capitalism. Like, I didn't, up until maybe a week ago, there's a guy that was on my podcast about 2 weeks ago. It's called Sway Hydration. And he hit me, he said, I had posted a post about Fred Hampton. And he said, we know the Black Panthers were Marxists. So I was like, wait, what? You know, and so I had to go back and I looked at Marxist, and then it connected communism with Marxism and whatnot. I said, wait a minute. But then the word communism, common is like community.
Right.
So, okay, well, hold on. So I started doing a little more research on it. So then I said, okay, everybody is on the same level. There's no distance. So everything is all equal.
Right.
But then I was like, okay, but some forms of capitalism to me works because if you out there and you working, and you out working something, and you want to reap the benefits of your hard work. So I'm like, okay, well, what's the middle ground of both of these two entities? And could that be what you're saying? Is it the neo-Marxism? Is it the?
Well, I think that's what Elon Musk imagines in his mind is the evolution of these economic systems. However, when you take morality out of the equation, no one's ever going to truly be happy. And so Karl Marx said that, you know, under capitalism, people become slaves to the dollar.
Right.
Yeah, so, you know, you live in a labor economy. You have to work Your only value is assigned by how much labor you can provide and input into the system. And that was what Karl Marx was saying. And there had to be room for people to be treated equally. Now, the shortcomings of communism, obviously, we've seen is lack of motivation, lack of innovation due to state control. And then it begets power-hungry leaders who want to maintain that control on people. So what we really need to be having conversations about now, based on the progress of technology that we've made just in the last 50 to 60 years, is post-capitalism. What does post-capitalism look like? What does a world look like where nobody has to starve? What does a world look like where healthcare, we try to optimize and keep people as healthy as possible, living as long as possible. And now, one of the things that King foresaw, prior to his untimely demise at the hands of the United States government, we talked about that extensively, was automation. And, how do we navigate the world with automation, where we have robots and computers and machines and artificial intelligence that can do jobs way better than we ever could. What does that world look like? Is it a world where everybody's on vacation every day? Or is it a world where we're slaving as much as we can in order to input things into the system to keep the robots fed?
Right. Yeah. That's interesting because as we're talking about this, I see certain scenes of The Matrix, and there's even an episode of Martin that's coming to mind. But I mean, so is AI really bad for us? Because if it frees up labor of people to actually get out there and sweat, and they can actually get out here and do something a little more productive, like if it's planting gardens or being more engaged civically, like I don't know, Meek, that might be, it might be onto something, man. You know what I mean?
Well, ultimately, in an ideal world, yeah, AI would just do all the things that we don't want to do, right? And we'd be able to, go chill on the beach and drink margaritas and, eat great vegan food all the time.
Right.
That would be the dream. However, AI is only as useful as the inputs that it receives.
True, that's true.
So when you are living in a world in which, like I said, we have a technocrat who's using neo-reactionism to construct his world, and that is the input that's going into how the AI is influencing society. That's a very scary world where, there's no regard for the differences socioeconomically in how people function on a daily basis. And so, it could come to a point where people who look like you and I are just seen as inconvenient apparitions of society, and we're completely seen as, we make the economy inefficient, and we should be completely ignored and shunned out of the economy. So,
but here's my thing too, though, Meek. So, because it kind of ties back into what we just discussed about how this system is not. It's like it's showing us they don't really care. They just want our energy and this. Now, so they show that all you want is just to work, and now you got technology that can now eradicate us out of the system. It's like, okay, so maybe they do us a favor, because before all this white supremacy, this, that, we were people that were ingrained into nature, and just living, you know what I mean? And so maybe it's pushing us back into what we're here naturally to do. You know what I mean?
I think I was here naturally to chill, what I'm saying?
Right.
But, realistically, my great hope with all of the technological developments that are going on is that humans will be able to find systems where we create limitless energy, where we, create systems in which we can live more in harmony with the planet in terms of an ecosystem that works a lot more efficiently, a lot more equitably for humans on planet Earth. And that way we can start to explore this great universe that we live in. We've been so limited. We're floating through space right now on a big rock at spinning around 60,000, miles per hour.
Right.
through space,
Right.
and we out here stressed about paying our rent.
Right.
You know, when we have, you know, hundreds of millions of stars, just here in the Milky Way galaxy, just one galaxy amongst hundreds of billions of galaxies.
Good point.
In a universe that's expanding at an ever-increasing rate, and we're over here worried about the dumbest things that you could possibly imagine. And so that's the great frustration that I have. I'm hoping that artificial intelligence and superintelligence will create or help us to create systems in which we can navigate past that and really explore the way we really should.
I really feel like that this system is about to implode. I really do. And I really feel like it needs to, because, like I say, because us as a people, the biggest distraction is our divide, you know. And so, but I think that it's starting to fragment us so much to where now it's like, okay, you know what, boom, you know. So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see these next couple of years, man. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's time to burn it down. And a lot of people I know will be offended by that. You know, they would have wished that we would have continued kicking the can down the road and gone down the Democratic path in the last election. However, again, we would have been lulled to sleep, and these feelings of white supremacy and racism were not going to go away. They will only evolve. And 50 to 100 years from now, our children and grandchildren will be dealing with the ramifications of it. So,
That's true.
You know, it's got to burn down, and it's imploding right now, as you mentioned, because the error in Elon and Scrooge McTrump's ways is that when you take morality out of the equation, the eternal fight that we've been tasked with and faced with is good versus evil.
That's true.
And, you know, Dr. King said the arc of the moral universe always bends towards justice. You know, it's long, but it bends towards justice. So good will always prevail in the long run. So what we're seeing now is evil having its heyday, but it's going to implode.
But really, I think it's a matter of perception. To them, they might think they're doing good, but in our eyes, it's evil. So it's like, where's the balance? You know what I mean? How do you gauge it?
How do you gauge what's good and what's evil? It's by who benefits most, right? If we look at the path that we're going on, where there's no room for, you know, diversity, equity, inclusion. And so in their mind, and I'm not just talking about having token symbols and corporations who are the heads of DEI. I'm talking about society in general. Is it a more equitable society at the end of the day?
Like it's nobody suffering or everybody's well kept in a sense.
Right.
Okay, that's fair.
Are greater amounts of people in a better position under these policies than previously? And I think that's how you gauge it. You know, you can look at it objectively, just purely from a numerical standpoint. Will people be in a better position now than they were previously?
Okay.
And under the current policies, the answer is obviously no. When you're telling people that we don't care about Black history, we don't care about Native American history, you know, that why are we worried? Why are we even talking about that? Why are we thinking about that? No one cares that, you know, these terrible and mean and nasty destructive things happened.
That we did, that they did, right? Yeah.
Right. So, you know, when you're literally having to brainwash people into believing in your agenda, you can't continue to say you're on the side of good.
True. I agree.
You know, when you're telling people, oh, there's only two genders, there's boys and girls, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? You're born with a penis. You know, there ain't no, it's black and white. There ain't no room for rainbow. You know, the whole reason we're here is diversity. You know, that's the only reason new living beings are born is diversity. That's the number one rule of the universe is diversity. We don't need carbon copies of straight white male 8 billion times over because you know we never get off this floating rock if that was the case. And I believe the universe calls us to be explorers, and the only way we can do that is to leverage diversity of ideas, of thoughts, in order for us to really become the explorers that the universe wants us to be.
But I think what happens when you do that, you start to challenge religion, because what happens when because people we'll use Christianity for lack of a better word. So God created Adam and Eve, not Adam, Eve, and then Adon's son, who was a transgender, whatever it is. You know what I mean? And so this is they're challenging this creation. You know what I mean? And so it's like, or somebody can even say, well, you know what? You're it's blasphemy to question God and say, okay, well, I created you this way, but then your mind is saying you're this way, but no, I created you this way because of generally just what you look like. If I look outside and I see a red, two-winged bird, it's a cardinal, but then say, no, but that cardinal, if it starts to bark, it's a dog too. So it's like I don't know, man. I don't know.
There's a lot of paradoxes when people affix themselves to religion, right? Mm-hmm. So you say, well, God created Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve. Mm-hmm. People would say that, right? Mm-hmm. Well, God also created the devil.
That's true.
So, and if God dwells within all of us, right? Mm-hmm. So that means that the devil, God is inside the devil too. Mm-hmm. So now how do we navigate that paradox?
That's a slippery slope to me because, I had a conversation, well, no, we're not going to do that. We'll leave it on the table between God and what the devil is and whatnot because even the book of Job, we'll do this. In the book of Job, the devil was talking to God and saying, look, I bet you if you take your hedge off of him, he'll curse your name. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And God was like, no, I'm too good to him for him to do that. So, but the point I'm trying to make is the devil cannot mess with you without God's permission. So is the devil, is he even, it or him, even in control of what's going on in this world at all?
Well, I think the greatest trick the devil ever played was getting people to believe the devil wasn't real.
Right.
Mm-hmm. and we're seeing that in real time right now. We're seeing a lot of devilish behavior. Mm-hmm. And so I think what people also need to consider in this entire equation, us lowly human beings, the possibility of us being the only intelligent life.
That's crazy.
In this galaxy, mm-hmm. let alone this universe. Mm-hmm. Imagine other intelligent life mm-hmm. evolving a few million, even 1,000 years ahead of us mm-hmm. at this point. Mm-hmm. Just in my lifetime alone, I've gone from Nintendo to virtual reality in my short lifespan.
I haven't tried virtual yet, man. I think I'm a little scared of it, man. I don't know.
It's there, man. It feels real.
Yeah.
And that's just in the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. I've seen the evolution of technology proceed mm-hmm. that fast. So we talk about other living entities in our local galactic neighborhood mm-hmm. having just 1,000-year head start on us. Mm-hmm. Would they not be considered gods to us if they were able to create something so virtually realistic that we were unable to decipher between reality and fiction and mm-hmm. keep us contained in this little bubble that we call Earth?
Okay, now you're going there, man. Okay, all right, go ahead.
Right.
Are we in a simulation, Meek? Is that what you're trying to say to me, man? We in the whole program?
Mathematically, mm-hmm. the indication is that we do live in a simulation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. First of all, we live in a three-dimensional world, with the fourth dimension being time, but mm-hmm. we live in a three-dimensional world. Our eyes can only perceive two dimensions.
Right.
Everything that you look at right now, you can draw in two dimensions. Mm-hmm. And so we just see a continuous collage of two-dimensional images mm-hmm. flooding our brains in a three-dimensional world. Mm-hmm. But we know mathematically that there are dimensions that are much higher than this.
That's true.
So what is our place in the universe in the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, seventh dimension? What do those beings view us as? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Are we just, when we look at this two-dimensional image here of Houston, right? Mm-hmm. And that tiger, does that tiger, it'd be like us being three-dimensional and having the awareness that a fourth dimensional being is actually looking at us right now. We don't have that capability. And so I know I'm going off on a tangent.
No, this is a good way to kind of put a pause, because if not, we'll go, you know what I'm saying, we can talk about 3 hours and whatnot. But you got to come back, man, like I said, because this, to me, having these conversations, talk about things locally, politically, even on religion, how certain these things kind of they're being challenged in our communities now, you know what I mean? this has to be talked about at least monthly. You know what I mean? So,
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And I went on that roundabout journey just to say that any attack on diversity we can definitively ascribe to evil, unequivocally, because the only thing certain in this universe is diversity.
okay.
Sexual reproduction ensures diversity. This is where, you know, we got chromosomes crossover, and you get a little piece of your mom, you get a little piece of your dad,
right,
and you
right.
create a new being.
Check.
That's the only thing certain in this universe is diversity. So anytime someone is attacking diversity, I can tell definitively that they are on the side of evil.
Interesting. Okay, that's a good perception. I didn't look at it that way. You know. Yeah, man, we got to circle back around, man. 'Cause I was talking to you about off camera that the number one podcast in Houston right now, they're talking about sports, entertainment. I haven't seen in this top, and not to even gauge it off of that, but it shows where our attention is, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean? Because you said something about what you say that they can probably tell who the top 5 draft picks are or whatever.
Yeah, well, you know, the average citizen in the city of Houston is probably more likely to know the starting 5 of the Rockets, or, you know, who all the players are on the Texans and how much salary they get and how many millions they got, you know, jerked out of, you know, that we'll never see. And we arguing over, you know, who deserves these multi-million-dollar contracts and
Who's the GOAT and this and that, like
multi-billion-dollar stadium. This is just a way to lull us to sleep. You know, sports is a huge distraction. I mean, I love sports. You know,
I like it too in its marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'll go to a game here and there, but to be emotionally committed to something that completely distracts you from the possibility of having any political engagement in your own neighborhood and making decisions on what happens in your neighborhood and what happens in your state and what happens in your country, you know, I can't say that that's a net positive for us.
I agree. So I tell you what, how can everybody find you? Give them the. So right now, I hear the music in the background. I came to Meek's, man, to come hang with him, man, because he's a busy guy, man. So that's what we are. That's the music you hear in the background, man. So the ambiance is nice, man. The TV, we got, it's going down in here, man. You know what I mean? So,
you know.
But tell everybody where they can find you on social media and all your hooks and everything.
Yeah, you can find me on social media at Vote for Meek. That's my Instagram handle, or Meekonomics. That's you know, the friends and family handle.
Right.
You can also find my business, Meek's Vegan Pizza, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and we just joined Spill, which is
saw that.
Yeah. That's a Black-owned social media app. I'm really excited about it.
So is it like fan base?
It's somewhat like fan base.
Okay.
You know, I like fan base too, but I feel Spill has the most. The greatest functionality at this point in the process, but I do have fan base as well, so you can follow me on fan base.
Okay.
But I think that it's really critical that we start controlling the narrative, and we start controlling black media, and we stop relying on media that also has made an about face recently and said that they also no longer care about diversity and so I think that's why it's critical at this point. Do for self. We need to listen and communicate and trust ourselves in disseminating information.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I want to make sure people are aware of that, you know.
Gotcha.
Make sure you're paying attention to black media.
Gotcha.
And other media as well, you know what I'm saying? Not just what's on your nightly news that's really there to not only brainwash you, but to scare you into submission.
Fear mongering, that's definitely what it is, man. I agree, man. So, but my social media hooks, of course, you go to SupplicStreet.com. You see all my social media on there. You can go by and get a T-shirt, get Meeks as well as T-shirt, man. That jacket, man. I gotta get a jacket, Meek.
Hey, yeah, I got you, man. You know, it's about to get hot out here, man. I might have to get some tank tops made or something, or maybe some cowboy hats. We'll see, you know.
I like the cowboy hats too.
Yeah.
I don't have a cowboy hat. Anyway, check me out on Instagram, YouTube, man. I'm trying to get my YouTube back up and popping, man. I didn't know that. Well, we'll talk about that off camera, man. But anyway, man, I appreciate you, Meek, man. Keep doing what you're doing. God willing, we'll circle back sometime next month. You got some time, and then gauge where we at politically again, see what these people in office are doing, and then maybe we can figure out how this independent movement can kind of navigate through it.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fantastic. You know, hopefully we're not citizens of Russia by next month at the rate that we're going.
Right.
But, you know, a lot is happening right now. This is very turbulent times, and we knew the mid-2020s were going to be kind of like this, just based on the trajectory that we were on with artificial intelligence, automation, and people trying to hoard resources for themselves. So, yeah, very interesting time to be alive, man.
It is, definitely. To be alive in this time, man. So y'all make sure, get involved locally, civically, man, and just do your part. Go support any business that look like you, mainly brown people, all right? So till next time, y'all. Peace.
Peace.
All right?
Definitely want to give a shout out to Political Street, man. That's one of the coldest names you can have. Because we out here in these streets, but these politics is trickling down, so it's all intertwined, man. So we got to figure out how to work it the way we work. So shout out to Political Street.